I grew up celebrating Mid-Autumn Festival by eating mooncakes. Mid-Autumn Festival happens on the 15th day of the 8th month of the lunar calendar. On this day, you are supposed to see the biggest, roundest, most beautiful moon all year long. This round wholesomeness is reflected in the tradition of eating mooncakes, which in themselves is round, and they often contain a cured yellow egg yolk. Many different versions of mooncakes exist, including different fillings and different pastries. My favorite, soft, egg-washed exterior, giving way to a creamy, dense, sweet interior. The filling is usually red bean or black sesame or lotus seed, and of course, that yellow egg yolk. And now, as much as I love to eat mooncakes, I have never made it, and I really don't recommend that you do. I grew up having been gifted boxes of fancy mooncakes as a sign of love and family reunion. However, to make it from scratch is a multi-day commitment. But if you like a challenge and you like setting time aside for yourself and for your cooking projects, I think mooncakes are one of the most fascinating things to make because it really teaches you patience. I recommend that you split this project into 3 days. The first day, you just soak your beans or lotus seeds, whatever fillings you want to use. Place your beans or seeds into a large bowl, fill it up with ample amounts of cold water, cover it, and let it go overnight until they're nice and soaked and plump. Take note that in the middle of lotus seeds are this green stem, and these are bitter and you want to remove them. If you leave them in there, your filling will not be entirely sweet. You can, however, use these lotus seed green stems to make a tea. It's supposed to be good for you, just a little bitter. Once you have split all of your seeds open and remove that green inside, you are ready to cook. The next day, go ahead and drain that water, put them into your pressure cooker. I prefer an Instant Pot, but you can use whatever one you want. Add in about 2 cups of water, set it to high pressure for 30 minutes, and then let the pressure build up, making sure you have that nozzle to the sealed position, and just let it go. After 30 minutes, let your pressure cooker depressurize naturally, after which the thingamabob drops, notifying you that it's ready to be opened. Go ahead, lift it out, and drain. If you're wondering, can I just use a normal pot? Yes, you can. But your lotus seeds are gonna be a little bit chunky and not break down completely into a creamy mixture, so just know that it's gonna be a bit rustic. If you do go the stovetop way, just make sure they are as creamy as they can be, and that can be anywhere from 45 to an hour. If you choose to go the way of azuki beans instead of lotus seeds, these will be ready in just about 35 minutes. Transfer your cooked beans or seeds to a large pot and then use an immersion blender or a normal blender to go ahead and make it nice and smooth and creamy. Once it is absolutely mashable, go ahead and add your sugar, your butter, and set your pot over medium-low heat, cooking while stirring frequently for about 10 to 15 minutes depending on the moisture content. You're looking for your paste to set into a ball that releases itself from the sides of the pot and kind of winds itself up the spoon. This is when you know it's reached the right consistency. If you find that your lotus seed paste is still chunky after you've added the sugar and the butter, you can go ahead and immersion blend it again until it's smooth. Or you can leave it a little bit chunky, doesn't matter either way, personal preference for texture. Transfer that deliciously sweet mash to a bowl, let it cool slightly before fitting it with a plastic seal, then let it cool to room temperature before transferring it into the fridge to chill overnight. Another project that I recommend that you complete on day 2 of this, make your dough. Now normally, old school traditional mooncakes use a lye solution to make that dough. It helps the dough color to a dark brown color, and it gives it that signature flavor. Most households don't have lye solution lying around, so we can work around this by just using baking soda and water. Go ahead and transfer a small amount of water and baking soda to a small pot, bring it up to a boil, and let it boil for 10 seconds. Let it cool completely, and then we can start with our dough. In a large bowl, combine your all-purpose flour along with your cornstarch and make sure you have that well distributed. Stir in the oil until evenly combined, then stir in honey, salt, and your baking soda solution. You want to make sure that your dough is all evenly colored throughout, that there are no nuggets of any uneven dry pockets. That way you have the most smooth dough possible. Knead this dough with clean hands until an even mass forms. Once you have a dough that doesn't stick to your clean finger, it's ready to be rested. Go ahead and cover this with plastic as well and transfer it into the fridge to let it cool completely. I recommend fridging it overnight as well. Day 3, we are ready to assemble. The first thing we're going to do is to portion your filling into 19 balls. These weigh about 20 grams each if you have a scale. You will need a mooncake mold to assemble these, so go ahead and break them out. These are sold online and they come with different designs, which are really handy if you got multiple different fillings like I do. To accommodate the size of these molds, we're gonna halve our cured egg yolks. You can usually find these in the refrigerated aisle at an Asian supermarket, but if you can't, you can also make your mooncakes without these. If you're not using the egg yolks, you can go ahead and make your filling balls a little bit larger, maybe 25 to 30 grams each. Working with one filling at a time, go ahead and make a divot in that ball with your thumb, nest that cut egg half in there, and then go ahead and push that filling to envelop that yolk completely. Give it a nice squeeze and a roll, and this dough is so malleable, you can go ahead and just push it whichever way you want to make sure you have a nice complete seal. Roll it between your palms to make sure that's a round ball, as round as you can get it, and set it aside. Repeat with all of your remaining filling and yolks, and then we can move on to portioning our dough. Take your chilled pastry dough and portion it into 19 balls. These will be about 18 grams each, give or take. If you don't have a scale, you can use a tablespoon, it'll be slightly rounded. Weighing out the balls, you're gonna smooth them between your palms, and then you're gonna roll them in a little bit of cornstarch so that they don't stick to anything. You're going to take 2 small pieces of parchment paper and sandwich each ball between them, flattening them and rolling them out to about 4 inches across. Dust this round with cornstarch as needed to prevent it from sticking to anything. Carefully and gently peel it off of the parchment and then sandwich a little filling ball with the yolk inside of this dough. Wrap it very carefully all around and then give it a nice good roll to make your mooncake ball. When assembling these, you want to make sure you are pressing out as much air as possible, leaving no space in between the filling and the wrapper. Now, if you do feel like there is an air bubble, this dough is very amenable. You can just go ahead and just tear open a little bit, push out the gas, push it back in, let the ball come together in your palms. Even if your dough isn't perfectly round, don't worry about it. Plop your filling in the center, roll it around as best as you can, and just make sure the edges meet to touch and enclose it completely. If you need, pinch off a little piece of dough from one place and patch it onto another, just to make sure you have even coverage. You can ensure that your round is as round as can be if you rotate your dough often when rolling it out, but don't worry if it's not perfect. Repeat with all remaining doughs and all remaining fillings, and then go ahead and sprinkle on a light layer of cornstarch again, just to make sure no sticking happens. At this point, you're gonna go ahead and dust your mold with cornstarch as well. I like to use a little pastry brush to make sure it gets all up into the designs. Line a large baking sheet with a piece of parchment paper, preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and then go ahead and plop one of your mooncake balls into your cornstarch dusted mold, press it in slightly, flip that mold upside down to stand up on your prepared baking sheet, and then give it a nice gradual squeeze press. Using a little bit of your body weight, you're gonna weigh that presser down. This is gonna imprint that design on top of your mooncake, and then you're gonna hold it there for about 10 seconds to make sure it's really embedded. Then you're gonna release that weight. You're going to plop out your molded mooncake, and using cornstarch flour dusted hands, go ahead and release it from the mold if needed. You'll repeat this with all of your remaining doughs, and then you're gonna place them on your sheet tray about 1 inch apart. Slide them into your 350 oven, set your timer for 8 minutes, during which we will make a simple egg wash. For your egg wash, you're gonna crack a large egg, and you're gonna drop about 2 teaspoons of cold water in there, mixing it so that it's all nice and smooth and combined. After the first 8-minute bake is up, you're gonna retrieve your tray from the oven. You're gonna brush all of your mooncakes very lightly with this egg wash, slide them back in for another 8 minutes. The egg wash here is very important in imparting that really nice shine and color to your mooncakes, so do not skip it. Set your timer for another 8 minutes and then wait. After the second 8 minutes is up, retrieve it once again from the oven and brush it once again with your egg wash, making sure you've covered both the tops and the sides so you get an even coloring. Don't cut any corners or they will be visible. After the second round of brushing, you're going to return it to the oven for a third and final bake, another 8 minutes for a total of 24. Now on the third day of this project, you are very proud of yourself. You pull them out of the oven and you see these golden babies. They look delicious, they look beautiful, and you can't wait to cut inside. And I'm not gonna stop you, but I'm also gonna stop you. If you thought 3 days is already too much time to devote to one thing, just wait till I tell you that you have to wait 2 days more before you can eat this baby. The reason being that the mooncake really changes texture once you allow it to sit at room temperature in a closed container for 2 days. You can wait 1 day and taste it, but it won't taste as good as it tastes after 2 days of resting. I recommend that after you let it cool slightly on the tray that you transfer it to a heat-proof container in a single layer if possible. Then go ahead and plastic wrap it to trap in all the air. If you have an airtight container that already comes with a lid fitted for it, that's alright too. In the next 1 to 2 days, you'll start to see your mooncakes turn smooth, even, shiny, and darken in color just a tad bit. Even if they came out of the oven looking a little bit imperfect, time and the moisture being redistributed within the pastry will make them look absolutely glossy. No matter which flavor you like to eat, I think this is well worth your time if you're a project person. Besides, who says you have to wait until Mid-Autumn Festival to eat mooncakes? Make them all year round and eat them all year round. A little sweet, a little salty, a little creamy, a little crumbly. It's both delicate and sturdy, making it the perfect paradox to enjoy. If you try your hand at this recipe, you gotta drop us a comment down below. Let us know, how was the process? Was it worth the time? And of course, what your favorite filling is. Until next time, happy mooning.